Did you know that over 80% of popular sci-fi movies in the last decade have explored dystopian themes? And that's not counting the bevy of dystopian films that came before that time. And do you like that? Well, watch your step. It's absolutely crazy to think about how many of our favorite sci-fi movies have not only entertained us, but have also eerily predicted the world we live in today. Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Drink up, because we're diving into the troubling world of classic sci-fi movies, old and newish. We're about to explore the top 5 movies that eerily predicted modern dystopia. Number 5, THX 1138, 1971. THX 1138 is George Lucas at his most darkly satirical. A loose collage of scenes intended to lance the boil of mindless consumerism and really late-stage capitalism. It's a blank, white, flavorless world inhabited by people/drones that have been turned into mindless machine cogs. THX 1138, portrayed by the excellent Robert Duvall, works tirelessly in extremely dangerous conditions so he can buy stuff, literally just random stuff that is thrown away. His roommate, LUH 3417, Maggie Makami, has fiddled with his medication enough that he's starting to realize that he's not quite right in his head and in the world. From the outset, LUH is onto these systematic societal control measures, and her illegal attraction to THX motivates the reason why she's taking such a monumental risk. In this top-down authoritarian structure, refusing medication and consumption laws are high criminal offenses that are, in some cases, punishable by destruction. Does this look like the inevitable conclusion of mandatory medical mandates? Like, you know what, not that long ago?
Brought to you by Pfizer.
So when he goes off his meds, the truth coalesces before his eyes. What he realizes is that the 15-minute ant farm is a totalitarian nightmare. Even confessing at the religious pre-recorded photo booths fails to correct his trajectory.
Can't understand.
Could you be more specific?
The sedatives. I'm taking atrazine, but it doesn't seem strong enough.
And we all know that if you free your mind, your ass will follow. So LUH and THX fall into illegal sexual relations. As the state builds its case against them, they conspire to escape. A fun fact is that within the false prophet booth lives a lizard in the machine's wiring. A myopic reference to the state's lizard brain, I suppose. Lucas was ahead of his time regarding today's clown planet. A dehumanized, overly medicated, and propagandized society. And it's no wonder why THX 138 lives on as a disturbing and even absurd forerunner to where we are going. And if you work at Amazon, you might be aware of the company's Amazon initiative, a response to soothe Amazon's labor violations by installing booths that play breathing technique videos, provide aerosol aromatherapy, and even instruction videos on how to pee in bottles while on shift. Actually, that's a joke, but what's not funny is that there are probably hidden surveillance cameras in these booths. Provided for your safety, of course, and don't worry, it's all free of charge. Number 4, Idiocracy 2006. Mike Judge is a genius and a prophet. Nowhere is this more obvious than his documentary Idiocracy. And yes, I know it's not a documentary. Yet. Idiocracy tells the tale of an exceptionally average American, Joe Bowers, later referred to as
Already confirmed, your first name is not. Please confirm your last name, sure.
My last name is not sure.
Thank you.
the most average man in the US military who was rudely awakened 500 years in the future. A future that is irrevocably stupid.
The Masturbation Network, keeping America baiting for 300 years. And now, Sweet Bang Tube.
Setting up monumentally hilarious mishaps. Now that Not Sure is the smartest man in the world. But how did Darwinism fail this hard?
There's no way we could have a child now. Not with the market the way it is, no.
God, no. That just wouldn't make any sense.
Bravo! Thank you for your service. In fact, childbirth rates are way down, so this illusion is kind of moot, but it's such a great plot setup though. And here's the punchline.
I'm pregnant again!
I got too many damn kids! Thought you was on the pill or some shit!
Hell no!
And they took over by 2505. Basic knowledge has been bred out of them. Brondo, an energy drink, for example, is used to water crops, which is ancient alien levels mysterious to the government, who are stumped in how to fix the burrito topping drought.
Brondo's got what plants crave.
Yeah, it's got electrolytes. What are electrolytes? Do you even know?
But President Camacho pardons Not Sure from prison on the condition that he'll fix everything.
So smart. He's gonna do it all in 1 week.
The world in 2505 has exceeded all levels of absurdity, like society went under a collective lobotomy. Any Westerner can attest to the sorry state of healthcare. Canada's public healthcare system has been underperforming for decades and is on the verge of collapse. And if you're an American who can't afford health insurance, well, good luck to you.
And this one goes in your butt. This one goes in your mouth.
Because you don't get something for nothing except long wait times or financial ruin. And advertising is omnipresent in Idiocracy like it is in today's world. This may seem like a stretch, but not if Carl's Jr. is a lobby group.
You got the highest score in history, brought to you by Carl's Jr.
Yeah, dumbass, you're even smarter than President Camacho.
Subsequent dumbing down of society and whipped up emotions by frothy propaganda and social media is the most startling comparison here. Manufacturing consent is much more effective when there's a lack of critical thought. Case in point, IQs have been dropping fast since 1990. But Judge's gravest prediction was the rise of the croc. The production needed ridiculous, numerous, and cheap footwear for the cast and background performers. Crocs were perfectly suited for Idiocracy's paradigm. And guess what? Crocs became weirdly popular and Idiocracy hit the theaters. That's a poor choice of footwear for the end times. Number 3, Minority Report, 2002. If I told you that Tom Cruise will be the harbinger of doom for humanity, would you hold it against me? And before you do, one freaking word, pre-crime. That's how Minority Report does it in the year 2054, and their super creepy predictive crime program is about to go national. And what could possibly go horribly wrong? Meanwhile, back in the clownscape that is 2024, pre-crime appears to be spreading through Western nations. The exploitation of personal algorithmic data by tech giants like Facebook and Amazon raised the eyebrows of law enforcement. And by using the existing surveillance matrix on select subjects via their digital fingerprint, are cued for arrest before the crime is committed. Yeah, that sounds infallible. Robert McDaniel found himself on Chicago's predictive policing list because of his association with other known violent criminals, and thereby he was lumped in with 400 of Chicago's most dangerous. All because that bastard Tom Cruise was 100% certain Robert would be involved in a violent crime. But his misdemeanors of smoking a little bit of herb and shooting dice in back alleys resulted in him being hounded by Chicago PD, and he himself ironically was the victim of gun violence. So why didn't the cops predict that? Huh? Algorithmic pre-crime isn't as advanced as in Minority Report, but it's a sign of things to come, all thanks to Tom Cruise. Number 2, They Live, 1988. Oh boy, John Carpenter's classic They Live opened up a lot of eyes to the value of a good pair of sunglasses. Mint for spotting the zookeepers. And it's recommended to make a friend to help you take down the alien daydream nation that's pacifying the human race. And what malleable vessels of conformity humans are. And they think that we're gross looking?
Ugly, giant bag of mostly water.
Pound sand, scab face. But the scabs did a bang-up job though, and this makes me wonder how many other worlds they've duped. Either way, no mind left behind. The monumental realization that Nada's world looks like a giant no-name brand label scrambles Nada's brain. Clearly, They Live is Carpenter's commentary on the day's lure of consumerism, classism, and the proliferation of mass media and propaganda, all of which were awash today. And we exist to subsist in a matrix where you're having a conversation about iguana food and then you're served ads for iguana food. Most of our devices and appliances eavesdrop or spy on us. Then this data is sold to third parties unbeknownst to us. It's a perfectly grimy symbiosis because we can't live without our phones. The happy ending in They Live is that the masses receive a rude awakening when Frank and Nada destroy the broadcast dish, but for us, in 2024, it's a big nada. On this fact star plane, laws are enacted to manufacture consent via the claim of misinformation. Cancellation and risk of legal repercussions is mutating people into self-censoring bots for fear of being ostracized from society and even imprisoned. Social media is a sharpened prong in this attack on common sense while advancing their plan to divide and conquer. Bill C-11, Bill C-18, and Bill C-36 prevent social media companies from showing Canadian news on social media and threatens people with hate speech, otherwise known as free speech, with heavy fines and as much as a life in prison. So stay tuned. It's clear that our handlers consider us as mindless cattle to be led by the nose. This may seem far-fetched to some of you, but is it really? Especially if you consider a star chamber of elected and unelected globalists planning your future, and if you will have a future, and what you're entitled to in that dystopia.
What we are very proud of now, as the young generation, like Prime Minister Trudeau, is that we penetrate the cabinets.
Jesus Christ. Hunger Games much? Number 1, 1984. 1984. The OG Mac Daddy of dystopian fiction, 1984, was delayed by 40 years, but George Orwell's keen assessment of the rise of totalitarianism is nothing short of prescient. And honestly, this reality should scare the living crap out of you. George Orwell's novel 1984, published in 1949, has long been regarded as the dystopian go-to guide, because it's coming to fruition. As if the material came to him in a premonition, a fever dream, or impeccable understanding of human nature. Our version of the Ministry of Truth is working hard behind the algorithms to censor speech and thought online. Governments and big tech gaslighting and arrests from free speech violations are popping up on non-mainstream news feeds, like in the UK. So whatever happened to sticks and stones, huh? The fact that this is happening is evidence that the Orwellian future is here now, especially when the government wants to convince you to trade freedom for convenience. And it can't be that bad if they're pitching this with a cheery cartoon.
The Government of Canada's vision is to enable Canadians to use trusted digital identities for quick and easy access to online services.
In 1984, Winston Smith, played by John Hurt, is a lowly clerk at the Ministry of Truth, aka Propaganda, who redacts events so that they won't become historical fact. Resembling a back-alley shell game, the truth changes on the whims of Oceania's leadership, a very effective method in breeding out our very humanity from the population. Brainwashing in all forms of media today pushes hard on these same buttons, hanging over our heads on the mantle of combating misinformation. And we know that it's all bunk. Threatening thought and speech criminals with incarceration does work to shut people up. It's a dirty trade. Trust the experts and maybe you'll get some chocolate.
Choco rations going up.
Really?
25 grams next week. Double plus good, eh?
Who controls the past controls the future. Who controls the present controls the future. And in the future, knowledge of libations would be rationed.
What's the moral of this? It is called wine.
Our eternal allies in Eurasia are turning against us.
Endless Wars is festooned like a raw banner to stoke people's furor and manufacture consent. Dwight D. Eisenhower warned the American public of the threat of the military-industrial complex in his farewell address in 1961.
We have been compelled to create a permanent armaments industry of vast proportions.
Not only did that come to fruition, it now dangles the world over the precipice of World War III, and some say World War III's already begun. These weapons manufacturers became the mafia of military sales globally. And when you're told that no other business makes profit like war, well, you better believe it. A concerted effort by the big brothers and big sisters of the world to erode our dignity, opportunity, prosperity, and ultimately our humanity. In essence, the stakes are the same. Complete control by the few who are so psychotic that they're willing to burn down the world in order to do so. What fun! I think that my brain is hemorrhaging from all this darkness, so I'm gonna self-medicate by watching some cute cat videos. So let me know if you think that we're already living in dystopian times. And did these films get this right? Let me know right down below in the comment section. I hope that this video has earned your like and subscription, and I look forward to catching you in the next one, hopefully